In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the running shoe that won the 2025 Women's Boston Marathon. Okay team, so Under Armour have launched the new Velociti Elite 3, and this shoe actually, like I said, won the Women's 2025 Boston Marathon. And in this video, I'm going to be giving you my very honest thoughts on this new racing shoe, this £225 racing shoe from Under Armour. Now, how this video is going to work, we are going to be going through what's new here, what's changed versus the previous version. We're going to be thinking about this shoe versus some of its competitors, and at the end of the video I'm going to be giving you a very honest assessment. So are you ready? Let's get stuck in. So version 2 I really liked of this shoe, yeah, and it was a shoe that was discounted heavily because nobody bought it, and at the sort of £150 and lower that you could get that shoe for, I think it provided a good 10k alternative. It was a firmer shoe, so on a sort of more stable elements, but it was a shoe that was, yeah, it was good for those 10ks. It was a good shoe at that price point to chuck into your rotation and use for some of those maybe slightly longer efforts or those middle distance that you may use some pace in. It was a good shoe for that. It was slightly different to what was out there, but yeah, it was a good shoe, especially at that price point. So then when version 3 popped up at the women's race in the 2025 Boston Marathon, my sort of ears pricked up. I was like, oh really, that's the Elite 3, I can't wait to try them out. So yeah, I was super excited to try this shoe, to get this shoe on the channel, because I say, I was a big fan of the second model, although at the sort of discounted price, I wouldn't recommend buying that at full price, but at the discounted price, I was a big fan. So that's why I'm excited to get this shoe on the channel. So Under Armour are rightly pushing this shoe because of the victory, and it makes sense to me. But what's actually going on here? Let's dive into the stats and features and bring you up to speed on what's going on with this, well, allegedly super shoe. Okay, so the Velociti Elite 3 is £225 here in the UK. It's got a full length carbon plate, 37.5mm stack in the heel, with a 2mm drop. Yep, 2mm drop. Under Armour continuing with the low drop. 250 grams, UK 9.5, and it fits bang on, true to size. We've got this dynamic Leno weave stretch upper, which I kind of like actually. But we've got, I think, carbon rubber on the outsole. Dual layer foam setup. So we've got the beaded Hover Plus midsole, which is a supercritical compound. And I think that's probably about it. Right, should we take a closer look? So here's this lovely upper. What's it called? The Leno weave stretch upper. I don't know what it is, but it's really nice. I really like the detailing, and actually I really like the way the shoe looks, to be honest with you. The laces are really cool. They've got sort of shark teeth on a little bit. It's not like the ASIC shoes, but there's enough there to be able to cinch them down. Really racing tongue, which is not gusseted. It does get on your nose a little bit. There's a little bit of foam in here, probably more than you'd expect in a super shoe. This is feeling more like a super trainer. There we've got like the Hover Plus, so we've got this like dual foam setup. And there's the carbon plate. I don't know if you can see that. Actually, underneath's probably a better way of showing it. And there's the carbon, I think it's carbon rubber outside. I may be wrong, right? But we've got the plate under there. Like I said, it fits true to size. The profile of it's quite nice. It doesn't cut in or anything like that. The toe box, there's plenty of room in here. Breathability is really nice, and the shoe's nice and light feeling. It's 250 grams, and on foot it feels a little bit lighter than that as well. Okay, so I've just been using this for some of my sessions that I've been doing. Obviously, I am still coming back from a marathon, so I'm not going full at it, and this is a shoe that I would normally take into race day, but I'm going to come on to that and why I'm not going to do that. But yeah, this is just a shoe that I've had out, and some of the sessions that I've been doing, it's not been anything that's particularly exciting in terms of pace that I've been putting through it. I mean, you can at like sort of 7.5 minute miles, it's okay. It's not brilliant, but it's okay. I did a workout on the treadmill in it. It was all right. Obviously, at the easier paces, it's just pointless wearing it. But it's not unstable, to give it credit, sort of that 8.5 minute miles. Apologies that these are in per miles, but yeah, we'll have to figure that out. But yeah, so the foam's okay. It's still firm, which is a problem. Come on to that. And the responsiveness, it's all right. Again, there's nothing negative in terms of the ride, but it's a firmer feeling. And you really, I say, you kind of have to work pretty hard to get sort of the foam working, and that's probably more of a me issue than the shoe issue, to give it credit. I am wondering if this is more set up for sort of faster people than me. That is sort of one of my feelings coming away from the shoes, whether this shoe is actually set up for people who are a bit faster to me. That is something that's, because of the way, it's just, I say, it's firmer. The plate's quite lacklustre, so I don't know whether I'm utilising it. That's kind of a better way to describe it. So yeah, I don't know whether this is more of a me issue than the shoe issue, because it ain't a bad shoe if it's winning the Boston Marathon, right? But here's the thing with this shoe. This doesn't feel very super shoe-esque. This foam is like something from 2022. And if this shoe was launched in 2022, I think we might be going, what, you know what, this is an absolute cracker of a shoe. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't go with 40mm of stack, for example. But there's something about this foam that is very 2022. It's more like the Pro 2, the Saucony Endorphin Pro 2 that we got. And that's what it's kind of going back to. That I don't feel with this shoe that it's like going up against the current trend of super shoes. For example, if you compare this against, well, just a Vaporfly with the Pebax foam, if you put this up against an Asics Ray with obviously the aliphatic TPU compound they've got in there, up against the Puma Fast R3, I mean, you can't even compare the two. So unfortunately, I think this is stuck in a bit of a time warp, and I'm not really sure what Under Armour kind of like going or direction they're going with this shoe, because really what they needed to do, instead of like, I don't know, persisting with this Hover Plus material, they needed to come out with something new. I'm not saying like Peba or anything like that or whatever, but they needed to do something different. Now again, this shoe did win the Boston Marathon 2025, but as we know on this channel, I keep banging on about it, it's more about the athlete than the shoe. But to summarise it, there's absolutely no reason for you to buy this shoe. This is £225. It is going to get discounted down because nobody's going to buy it at £225. And when they do discount it down, then it becomes slightly interesting. But to be honest with you, you're probably better off just going buying the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4, which is going to get heavily discounted down because Saucony Endorphin Pro 5 is pretty much here. So I'm not really sure why you would buy this, and I'm not really sure what Under Armour were thinking with this foam. I think they needed to take a bigger step than they've actually taken with this shoe to entice some of us sort of normal people to part with our 200 and something pounds of hard-earned cash. I really like the upper on this shoe. I think it's really nice. I like the lacing. I like all that sort of stuff. But there's nothing here that warrants £225. There's nothing that's really exciting about it. There's nothing really that's like, whoa, you know what, I feel epically fast in this. I want to take this into race day. And that brings me on to my final point. So on this channel, I like to take these super shoes into a race. But after running in this for, I don't know how many miles it is, I sort of thought to myself, I don't really want to take this into a race. There's nothing here that's going to inspire me in a race. Now that is quite a cutting assessment of it, but honestly, there's nothing here that you can't get from some of the modern super trainers that are currently out there. I don't really feel like this is going to offer me much on race day, and that's a big problem, especially for a shoe that's £225. Now look, this might be, like I said, a me problem. I might not be the runner that this is going to work for, so this might be a me problem, okay, and I'm happy to accept that. But the fact that I'm not really that fussed about taking it into a race tells you, I think, everything you need to know. So for me, the conclusion is pretty clear. The Under Armour Velociti Elite 3 is actually more of a super trainer rather than a super shoe. But at £225, there's far better shoes that are currently out there. Even just think about the like Adidas Pro 3 sort of replacement thing that I came up with the other day. That's £180 without a discount. And there's some of these older models that you can pick up. The Vaporfly is getting discounted heavily down Nike, and that's got similar sort of stack heights. That's a much better shoe than that Elite 3, and it's a real shame. I like Under Armour shoes, but the Velociti Elite 3, no, it needed to take a bigger step, and I think they've missed a trick there. I think they've spent a lot of money and a lot of time in developing that shoe, and obviously it's clear that for the elite runners it works, but I think for us mere mortals, there's nothing in that package that's bang up to date. I say, it's more something that if it came out in 2022, you might go, oh, you know what, this is a bit lively. I like this nice, lightweight, fast-feeling shoe. But back then, there wasn't many of these super shoes out there, but with so many of them out there now, with all these really new, funky, amazing foams and plate setups and everything that's out there, it doesn't really cut it against the competition. So there we go, team, and that's my honest assessment of the Under Armour Velociti Elite 3. I do think though, once it gets discounted down, and it will get discounted down because no one's going to buy it, I do think like if you could start coming down to like 150 150, maybe even 145, then I think it becomes a different animal. Then I think it becomes into that super trainer world, and you then think to yourself, I'm going to get a lot of shoe here, despite its firmness. And it's sort of, yeah, I don't know, but you're going to get a lot of shoe for that money, I think, and that's the key thing. So wait for it to get discounted. That's my message to you. And then I think you'll get yourself a very good training sort of speedier shoe, maybe for those 10Ks and even into half marathon, especially if you like a firmer shoe and if you're after something that's a little bit more stable. I think that would work as well. Right, team, so if you found this video extremely unhelpful, make sure you subscribe. And if you found this video really helpful, make sure you also subscribe. And I'll catch you all later.